Today on MTG Unpacked, we're getting stuck into a new 2022 Challenger deck, Dimir Control. So that is blue and black is the color combo. So this is a standard format deck. So become Death Destroyer of creatures, eliminate your opponent's key threats with strong removal spells, and end the game with a single haymaker. So that's pretty much the control strategy in a nutshell. So we've got a 60 card deck, 15 card sideboard and deck box. So let's get into it. So these were released on April 1st, 2022. Fear the Reaper. Love the little sayings there. And they go for $29.99 US or thereabouts. So here's our deck. We've got a fun divider. I'm expecting to see a dragon in here, and we also have a sideboard. Okay, so let's get cracking here. So we've opened a couple of these already. We've got one more to go after this video. Standard format is the pretty common format of Magic, and these are supposed to be somewhat competitive decks. So your mileage may vary, but they're really aimed at new players to get them up and running really quickly. Okay, so let's dive in here. We start off with Graveyard Trespasser. Creature, human, werewolf, 3/3 for 3 with ward. Discard a card. So whenever Graveyard Trespasser enters battlefield or attacks, exile up to one target card from a graveyard. And if a creature card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Also has Daybound, so if a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night next turn. And this transforms, it's a 4/4. We have Graveyard Glutton. Creature werewolf has ward, discard a card. So ward is the effect. I think you're making your opponent pay extra. You have to discard a card though. Whenever Graveyard Glutton enters battlefield or attacks, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Also has Nightbound. So if a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes a day next turn. Next up we have Dry Disruption. Instant for 2, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. And the cool thing about these, you also have a land on the other side. So depending on what you need, you can cast one or the other side. We have Dry Ruins. It's land, enters battlefield, tap it for blue. And another Trespasser. So what is that? 3 of those. 2 Dry Disruptions. Next we have Field of Ruin. It's land, tap for colorless mana. For 2 tap, sack Field of Ruin. You get to destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Each player searches the library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield, then shuffles. And we have March of Wretched Sorrow. Instant for X and a black. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may exile any number of black cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. March of Wretched Sorrow deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. Alright, so we have another Field of Ruin, so that's the second one. Power Word Kill. Love the artwork on this, very creepy. Instant for 2. Destroy target non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon creature. Okay, so that gives you a lot of options. So we have, let's see, 3 of those. Baleful Mastery, instant for 4. You may pay 1 and a black rather than pay the spell's mana cost. If the 1 and a black cost was paid, an opponent draws a card. You can exile target creature or planeswalker. So, 2 of those. Memory Deluge, instant for 4. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Also has Flashback for 5 and 2 blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Alright, Saw It Coming. Instant for 3, counter target spell. That's really what blue is all about. Foretell for 1 and a blue. So during your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. And always keeping your opponent guessing. They're like, what have they foretold? So 2, 3 of those. Thirst for Discovery, instant for 3. Draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard a basic land card. So just filtering through your deck there. Parasitic Grasp, instant for 2. Cleave for 1 and 2 black. You may cast the spell for its cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in square brackets. So Parasitic Grasp deals 3 damage to target human creature. You gain 3 life. So if you're cleaving it, you get rid of the human portion there. So we have 2 of those. Hero's Downfall, instant for 3. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. And we have 2 of those. Holy moly, tons of removal in this deck. So we must be getting close to something huge. Crippling Fear, sorcery for 4. Choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn. So we got 3 of those. Another Memory Deluge. Another 2 of those. Okay, I guess we're getting a play set of those. Infernal Grasp, instant for 2. Destroy target creature. You lose 2 life. Here we go. Here's the big kahuna at the end. So after you've countered everything your opponent plays and removed all their creatures, you get, what is that? Imrith Desert Doom. It's a mythic legendary creature dragon, 5/5 for 5 with flying. It has ward 4 as long as it's untapped. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then if you have fewer than 3 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. And another one. Okay, that's awesome. That's it. Okay, so 2 legendaries. Big dragon at the end. And then let's take a look at the rest of the cards here. So we have Blood on the Snow. Snow Sorcery. For 6, choose 1. Destroy all creatures, destroy all planeswalkers. Then return a creature or planeswalker card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast this spell. Okay, so we're getting 3 of those. Okay, here's the... I was wondering when we'd see this guy. Hullbreaker Horror. Creature Kraken Horror. 7/8 for 7. Has flash. This spell can't be countered. Ooh. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Holy cow. Okay, this is a pretty nasty deck. We also have Ice Tunnel, Snowland Island Swamp. So tap for blue or black. Enters the battlefield tapped. We're probably going to get 4 of those, I would say. Yep. And Hall of Storm Giants. It's a land. If you control 2 or more other lands, it enters the battlefield tapped. And you can tap it for blue mana, or you can pay 5 and blue until end of turn. Hall of Storm Giants becomes a 7/7 blue giant creature with ward 3. It's still a land, and here we go. It's talking about wards. So whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability, an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 3. So we've seen ward a bunch of times on other cards here. So 2 of those. Evolving Wilds, the classic land. Tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Oh, this is a nice one. Shipwreck Marsh enters battlefield tapped. Unless you control 2 or more other lands, tap for blue or black. I think that's a couple of bucks. So we've got a whole play set of those. And then we have Snow-Covered Swamps. 7 of those. And Snow-Covered Islands. 5 of those. And then finally, this is fun. I've thrown in a alternate art, Evolving Wilds. So this is the dungeon module artwork from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the D&D set. So that is an awesome include. Okay. So let's look at our sideboard. See what we got here. So the sideboard is what you use in best of 3 games. Once you've got an idea of what your opponent's deck does, you can switch out cards from your main deck and pop in these sideboard cards. So we have Mischievous Catgeist, creature cat spirit, 1/1 for 2. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Has disturbed for 2 and a blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard transformed for its disturb cost. Okay, what is on the other side? We have Cat-like Curiosity, Enchantment Aura, Enchant Creature. The enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. If Cat-like Curiosity would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. I think that thing there is called a Cat's Cradle, so that's a fun piece of artwork. So 2 of those. Duress, sorcery for a single black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So just in case you didn't think there was enough removal already, you can chuck a little bit more in. Siphon Insight, instant for 2. Look at the top 2 cards of target opponent's library. Exile one of them face down and put the other on the bottom of that library. You may look at and play the exiled card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. You can flashback for 1 blue and black. Okay, so a couple of those. Another Duress. Negate. Okay, yeah, I hate this card. When I started playing Magic, I'm like, you mean they can just counter stuff? Instant for 2, counter target non-creature spell. Alright, so we get 2 of those. Ray of Enfeeblement, instant for a single black. Target creature gets -4/-1 until end of turn. If that creature is white, it gets -4/-4 until end of turn instead. Alright, 2 of those. Another Saw It Coming. Blood Vial, Purveyor, creature vampire, 5/6 for 4 with flying and trample. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token. It's an artifact with pay 1, tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, you get to draw a card. Whenever Blood Vial Purveyor attacks, it gets +1/+0 for each blood token defending player controls. So we get 2 of those. Blood Chief's Thirst, sorcery for a single black, kick a 2 and a black. So you can pay that extra as you cast it. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less if this spell was kicked. Instead, destroy target creature or planeswalker. 2 of those, and then we have the convenient day-night token in case you don't know whether it's day or night. And we've got an ad here, yep. And a blood token, so pay 1, tap, discard a card, suck this artifact, draw a card. Okay, so it's just an endless amount of blood here. So another one. Okay, so just the blood tokens. And then we have some blank cards. If you're playing the deck without sleeves, you're going to need those. Okay, so it looks like a decent deck. And because we're not really playing that many creatures early on, I'd suggest adding in the Meat Hook Massacre. So that's a crazy board wiper card. You can also gain life when your creatures die and the opponent loses life, so it's a lot of fun. So this deck looks pretty good for a new player, I think. So you might also want to check out the Pioneer Challenger decks. So those are a non-rotating format. Because this is standard, this will rotate out a lot of the cards here later this year. So let me know in the comments what you think of this one. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there. Thanks for watching and have a great day.